What is up? You're tuned in to the Underdog Hour with K-Op on WPGU 1071. I've got Tara Terra in here looking great as always. Gotta say though, Colin, Emily, I'm missing the Killers outfits from the Great
Thank you.
Me
the
too.
feathers and the wig, they were ridiculous. They were majestic. I loved it. Yeah.
I lost them somewhere at the show.
I saw the video. I didn't realize it on stage, but you threw the jacket out into the crowd, not intending to get it back, correct?
Not intending to get it back, but she gave it back to me, which was really nice because I missed it.
There was a lot of collectibles at that show. There was like the floaties for Katy Perry.
That's right.
That was
My
a really
favorite.
good time.
That was amazing.
That
Yeah.
was.
I had a great time, honestly. It was a great show. But now that you guys aren't, practicing the Killers all week, you got a little bit more time for your own stuff now, right?
Definitely.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
are going to hit it hard before Friday.
Yeah. And you're playing at the Accord on Friday, right? Yeah.
Yes, but as ourselves, so.
Yeah.
Not the Killers.
Right. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. Just ask a little bit about your influences. Whenever I listen to you guys, I feel like I'm hearing a lot of different stuff going on. I hear like a little bit of bluesy stuff, alternative influences going on there. But then every once in a while, I kind of get the feeling that we might have grown up on the same stuff. Like the angsty teenage emo stuff when we were like, it was like early 2000s. Like My Chemical Romance. I'm not saying that's a specific influence of yours, but I can kind of feel that, when I listen to it. Did you guys have like similar music interests growing up, or?
I think it's always fun to find out when we do have some common ground as far as musical interests go, because I think, do sort of have different tastes in music. Like me personally, I first started listening to music seriously with my dad, and he was a big just like sort of classic bro rock fan, so a lot of Led Zeppelin. At the same time, he was really into prog, so it was weird. I was like learning how to play sloppy drums from Bonham, but also getting into sort of weird arrangements and more technical playing from like Rush is his all-time favorite band.
Right.
So that's like
the progressive rock influence is definitely evident. I could definitely see that. Yeah. What about you, Emily? Just.
That's kind of difficult. I have so many musical influences. I really like singer-songwriters, like female singer-songwriters and female-led bands, just because when I was growing up, those were the things that like my voice could latch onto and I could imitate that. So Lucius is one of my favorite bands, and they're kind of up and coming. They're definitely getting a lot more attention right now, which is awesome. And I also really like this band called Yuck from, I think it's the 90s or the early 2000s. I think it's the 90s, but Colin and I really like the band Yuck. It's kind of like a super catchy, grungy pop rock alternative.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds cool. What about you guys?
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of U2, I guess, and so that kind of, I didn't realize that wasn't cool until I hit high school and everyone was like, what are you doing? But I think you can definitely hear that in the way I play guitar. I'm pretty lazy as far as like doing things quickly, but I'll put a bunch of delay and reverb on it and it'll sound kind of spacey and weird, and so that's a very kind of U2 styled thing, I suppose. So that's just how I learned how to play, I guess.
Cool, yeah. And earlier we were talking, you kind of got a little bit more responsibility in the producing process, right?
Yeah.
With the band.
Yeah, and I think U2 was like some of the first music that I listened to and like really thought about the production, I guess. Because Brian Eno was on a lot of the U2 records as the producer, so was Joe Ciccarelli, Steve Lillywhite, and those are all producers that now, as someone who like does actual recording and mixing and stuff, I listen to those producers specifically for the records that they do, and I didn't realize they were on the U2 records until later. But I think U2 is definitely an influence production-wise as well for me.
Awesome, yeah. I can definitely see that there's a lot of layers to your stuff. You just had a session on Audio Tree, which was awesome, by the way. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
On there, you talked about your songwriting process and how it's kind of shifted a little bit from, it used to be Emily was doing a lot of the songwriting, and now it's kind of shifted to more of a group effort. You're all kind of collaborating more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like at the beginning I would sort of write the song skeleton, as I put it, as a whole, and then bring it to them and expect them to fill it out. But now it's more like I have an idea, and I'd say I complete like 70% of what I would imagine to be a full song, and then give it to them to deconstruct and then reconstruct,
Awesome.
which is the funnest part, I think, because we get to use all the musical influences that we have and create something totally new and different. So it's more fun for me for sure. And also our the subject matter of our writing has veered a little bit further away from like my specific personal experience and more of like a landscape or a feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of your songs, you kind of try to tell a story with them. That's another thing you mentioned on the audio tree session. Do those stories usually involve, are they just a story, like a fictional thing you make up most of the time, or are they usually based on you guys' life experiences or just things that you're actually involved in?
Well, I can give examples, like Center Part. Are you going to play Center Part? I can't remember if you said that.
That's coming on next.
So that one, I had a dream that I was kissing someone and their hair was falling out into my hands, and so that is literally what So that's literally what that song is inspired by, and I thought it was kind of... My favorite thing about that song is that it sounds really cheery and happy, but it's about something completely revolting, and I just think that's kind of hilarious. And then Lorelei is about visiting someone's grave and kind of like the scene painted around like how that would feel, and so hopefully that comes across in like sort of a contemplative way, and also I don't know, it feels happy and sad to me, that song.
That's news to me. I didn't know what that song was about until just now.
That's great. Well, I mean, now that you mentioned Center Part and Lorelei, I guess we might as well play it. And I better play some of your music because I know that people listening are kind of like, well, they want to hear the music. So,
get to the tune.
But we'll be continuing this interview behind the scenes, and we'll be back on the air in 2 songs, so don't go anywhere. And I'll be posting the full interview online on Facebook.com/The Underdog Hour. So go check that out tomorrow. For right now, here's Center Part. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is, you guys have had like some membership changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for instance, Leia's in
She's
Europe
abroad,
now,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
she's in Ireland?
She's in London.
London.
Okay. Yeah, so she's not here, and then you guys have switched members a couple of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has that been, and also you guys are in college, so has that been something that has been difficult for you guys to stay kind of stable and just having these members that have so much going on? Has that been an issue for you guys?
I don't think it's, for me, it's felt like everything is at a very natural conclusion, like with our members. Celine, who's on the record, moved to Portland to start a new chapter of her life, and like we're all super stoked about that, and she was super stoked to move. So that was all good, and our last singer, Rachel, was phenomenal. We got to go on tour with her, but she's been so busy with grad school that I think her priorities shifted, and I think she's super stoked on that.
Yeah, she was under a lot of stress, and sometimes it's hard when you're like in a full-time band to compete with like your other obligations.
For sure. And to commit that much to it too while she's got everything else going on.
Yeah,
just like that energy and the resources to it.
Definitely. Being in college is definitely, it's a lot on your plate, and like when you guys are a student band, and especially if you aren't in the same major, which I know most of you aren't, right? Many of you really study the same thing. So it's a lot of conflict in your schedules, and I can see that being really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year for me, I think school is like probably going to be the biggest challenge to kind of balance, and like I'm going to try to like make band and school kind of not impact each other as much as possible.
We usually keep them pretty separate. Like we always have the policy that school comes before, or not before, but that we can't schedule a band thing over school.
Right.
Typically, unless like it were like David Letterman, and we'd be like, oh my god, like we can miss
I'll drop out
geology.
right now.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, we haven't come across that like sort of bridge yet, so I think they've remained pretty compatible.
Yeah, definitely like in my mind, I think school comes before band, but I just try not to ever make it a big deal, because a lot of it is just like scheduling ahead of time and stuff. And
You guys do, I know you play with a lot of like local bands, obviously, but you also collaborate with them, right? And you have you have things like the Great Cover Up, where you have sets where some members play in with other bands. And wasn't one your other singer? Isn't she in Church Booty? Or
She's like a session singer for us. I mean, we love her and like
right.
she's
You're the one
really
the singer who was there for the audio tree.
yeah. So she comes in like whenever we have an important gig and would love some harmonies there.
Okay.
So right now she's more of like a every so often kind of performer. But she fronts that band with Croft and Clayman, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're great. And you don't have to worry about that because we're not
Yeah, I
there.
was like, oops.
Yeah.
Emily has pretty much collaborated with every single musician in Champaign, one way or another.
It seems like it. Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that you haven't.
Who maybe?
Matt Talbot.
Including like the rappers though, like
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Somehow, I was on Mike Ingram's set. He was Eminem,
Yeah.
and I was Dido, and I got to stand on the bar and almost fall off, but it was
That's
really
great.
fun. Yeah.
I saw all of Chase Baby and Truth, aka Trouble, was there right that night.
Yeah.
I still haven't met them, but they're coming on the show in March. So.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Their part of the set was really awesome. They had like a rap battle, and
Did
it was
they?
really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, they seem like they're really good. Like Chase's album was pretty on point. Like, and Small Politely had like that list of top ones, and they were on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about, like in reference to like these songs that we're hearing right now, or is there? Because I know we discussed like kind of what went into writing them, but
Maybe just a little bit, because I know we were kind of talking about how the songwriting process has changed and how like Emily might have like whatever, roughly 70% of like of a skeleton, and then like by the time it's done, it's just a completely
Totally
different animal.
different.
Yeah.
And we're
totally
still,
different.
even the songs that we've had like established, like this song that's playing right now, we've made changes to it since doing this audio tree session.
Yeah.
Like even the songs that are like established we're constantly messing with and doing things
Right.
with,
I think we only finished writing this song about 2 weeks before Audio Tree.
That's right.
I was thinking, it was pretty soon.
wow, yeah. I mean that would be really rushed, especially because Audio Tree is such a prominent channel.
Yeah. I was so happy
That
that
was
we
a
got
very-
to do this song though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, your set on Audio Tree was amazing. Like,
Oh,
I've
that was
watched
awesome.
it.
Thank you.
I've watched it a few times. Yeah, it's really great.
We found out the other day that it's on Spotify, and I was like, oh, we didn't know it was going to go up.
I didn't know that
But
either.
I'm really happy that it is
Yeah.
because a lot of people have actually found us through those songs, like the Tara Terra audio tree. Like, people are listening to that
Awesome.
now.
And we've
which is
gotten
cool.
some interesting reach outs from people. Like we got someone contacted us from I think Finland saying he
yeah.
saw our audio tree session. We got I think someone from Sicily saying he wanted us to come play at some music festival he was doing.
I'm like,
Yeah.
if only I had $1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
What is up? It's K-Hop, and you're tuned into the Underdog Hour. I'm still here with Tara Terra, who will be performing this Friday at the Accord. Guys, you want to talk a little bit about that show? Want to let us know what's going on?
Let's do it, guys.
Yeah.
Let's promote ourselves.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, here's the deal. There was a bar in town. It was called the High Dive. It no longer exists except for physically, but in a metaphysical sense, it is now an entirely new beast called the Accord. It's back, baby, and it's better than ever.
Nice.
And we.
Jesus.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
We're gonna be playing with a band called Tiger Beat, and they're from downstate, right? Are they from?
They're from Champaign.
Are they
Yeah.
from Champaign?
Mhm.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were from one of the neighboring
I
cities.
don't know
or not.
about all the members, but John, the front
John,
man's
right.
from here.
Okay, yeah. So 2 local bands, and then Cullen Omori, who was formerly of the Smith Westerns, very cool band. I think they dropped like 2 or 3 albums. Cullen's already on Sub Pop, but I think he only has a single out. I think even if you don't know Cullen Omori or you don't know the Smith Westerns, definitely worth checking out his set. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do and what kind of songs he has lined up. And that's on Friday the 5th, and I believe the doors open around 8, 7.
I see 8 on the Facebook event.
That
Okay.
we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to hear more about that, go to the Accord on Facebook and like the page, and they'll be able to tell you more. And you'll be able to check out ticket prices at their website, I assume. That they
That is
have
correct.
a up and running website because it is 2016 now. But as during the break, we got to talking about you guys' songwriting and producing process and how it's kind of changed. over the past few years. And Colin, you were going to tell me a little bit about how the producing process has, how you've been kind of doing it a little bit differently. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I think so. Kind of looking ahead, I suppose, to the next album, which is pretty much the next thing on our horizon right now. So in the past, for our first album, for a few singles and stuff, I would do the production with Emily, assisting. So we have a co-production credit on the album, which I'm really proud of.
Go team.
Go team. But so for this album, so a little bit of background, I guess. Like part of the production process is definitely giving critical feedback from a position of authority in like the recording studio. Like you're running the session and you need to be able to talk to your bandmates. But I have found a weird dynamic in that these are my friends and these are my bandies, and I'm a band member just as much as I am a producer. So a big part of what we're going to be doing for the next record is actually bringing in another producer. His name is Rick Fritz. So he actually recorded the Audio Tree session that Center Part and Lorelei we just played. Those are tracks that he both recorded at Audio Tree. And he's just a fantastic guy. He did a record for The Soil and the Sun, which is one of our collective favorite bands of the Midwest. And he also has worked with the Beach Boys, which is
Really?
No big deal.
yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
And he's just we met him at Audio Tree, and he's just such a great guy. Super nice, really hilarious.
He's like a
he's really
quiet
funny.
but really hilarious dude.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So we were talking as well about how much cooperation there is in the CU music scene among artists, and especially there's a lot of support from the local crowds. In my experience, being a part of the local crowd, do
You know better than we
yeah.
do then.
Do you find it comforting having that support here in Champaign-Urbana, or is that something that you value as a band? Or
Absolutely. I think that this is one of the most vibrant music scenes I've ever experienced. Just like the energy from the crowd and like within the bands and between the bands. It's just like a big love fest. Like I don't know how else to put it. So
Right.
It's definitely helped me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, so me, I've grown up in town. I think Colin and me and Emily and Alea, our fifth member who's studying abroad currently, are from Champaign, and we grew up in town. And I remember playing shows as young as like 14 years old in this town. And the music was not great, but the crowds were always fantastic. And there were a lot of venues for us to play, and I think just getting around town and meeting the other musicians really helped me connect with other musicians and eventually land in a group with all these phenomenal people.
Aw.
I also think that this town is unique in that bands really help each other promote shows. They play shows with each other and collaborate, help each other record, do sessions on each other's recordings. And I don't know if you see that in bigger towns so much because it feels a little more competitive. And I don't think there's as much competition, but more cooperation here in Champaign.
yeah, that's awesome. You kind of you might have those like little bit of rivalries maybe because you are playing with, not really against, but with your friends and other shows. But it's nice to have that cooperation as a town, and especially when you know the people that you're playing with and that are opening up for you. And especially because you guys are all friends in a band, that would definitely help. So the interview is going to keep going. I'm going to have the full thing on Facebook at facebook.com/theunderdog or /Underdog Hour. Go check that out. I'll be posting that tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Friday night at the Accord at 8
Doors
p.m.
at 8, yeah.
Doors at 8. Okay, go to the Accord on Facebook to check that out. I'm going to play one more Tara Terra song and get you back to the rest of our music. So yeah, don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Underdog Hour. Here's Tara Terra with Smoke.
I don't know why I got
Nice.
smoke in my lungs.
Cool.
Doo-doo-dee-doo.